ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे शेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We are reading from Canto 5, Chapter 15, Text 11. Chandamsya kamasya chayasya kama Duduhur ajhurur atho balim nripaha Pratyanchita yudhi dharmena vipra Yada shisham sashtham amsham paretya. Translation. Although King Gaya had no personal desire for sense gratification, all his desires were fulfilled by the virtue of his performance of Vedic rituals. All the kings with whom Maharaj Gaya had to fight were forced to fight on religious principles. They were very satisfied with his fighting, and they would present all kinds of gifts to him. Similarly, all the Brahmanas in his kingdom were very satisfied with King Gaya's munificent charities. Consequently, the Brahmanas contributed a sixth of their pious activities for King Gaya's benefit in the next life. So we are discussing about Priyavrat Maharaj's descendants, and one of them here is Gaya, King Gaya. So King Gaya was known for his wonderful way in which he was taking care of entire kingdom. And it's very nicely mentioned in this verse also what were the different things that he was doing. First thing that we understand from him is no personal desire for sense gratification, but all his desires were fulfilled by the virtue of his performance of Vedic rituals. See, even in material life, this is so powerful. As soon as we say Varnashrama, as soon as we say advancing on the higher ladders of Krishna consciousness, immediately this one term is removed. Personal sense gratification, selfishness. It's kicked out. Even in material life I'm talking about. Forget about spiritual life. Even in material life, this one thing is kicked out. And it's very nice to note, all his desires were still fulfilled. He's not aiming at that, but still, whatever little desires he had in his heart is getting fulfilled. Why? Because he's doing his duties very nicely. He's performing various Vedic rituals, what he is supposed to do. So if this is the case when it comes to material life, just think about, what about spiritual life? If the expectation is no sense gratification, no sense gratificatory desires in material life, when it comes to civilized society, just think about spiritual life. As soon as we say spiritual life, as soon as we say Adhyatma, as soon as we say Krishna consciousness, devotion, all these different words, as soon as we say, immediately this one word or one phrase has to be removed, sense gratification. No sense gratification. As soon as sense gratification comes into picture, the thing that takes place is sin or sinful activity. Because sense gratification means for one's own pleasure. Atmendriya priti vancha, and that is kama, that is lust. And wherever there is lust, immediately what will happen is papa will come into picture, sin will come into picture, adharma will come into picture. We want it or we don't want, this will happen. Even people who are bound by dharmic sense gratification, and if they do it without any boundaries, then finally that will get merged into sinful activities. Finally, that will get converted into sinful activities. Therefore, again and again in Shastra it is said, no sense gratification. But when it comes to Vedic life, still some sense gratification was allowed. They were putting the boundary and saying, okay, be in this boundary. Dance as much as you want. Do whatever you want, but play in this boundary only. Don't go out of it. So this was called as Vedic initiation. So as soon as there was Vedic initiation given, so the person was told that these are the different things that you're supposed to do. So you're supposed to do your Sandhya Vandan. You're supposed to do these different other rituals. Then you're supposed to make sure that you follow your duties of your Varna and Ashrama, and so on and so forth. And while doing that, naturally, he would have some sense gratification. And that was dharmic sense gratification. But now, one thing you have to understand is, that was Vedic initiation. But when it comes to Pancharatriki initiation, there is no question of sense gratification. Zero sense gratification. You see? So there's a difference between the two. Vedic initiation and Pancharatriki initiation. So which initiation we have in iskcon? Sure. Okay. So when it comes to us, we are given Pancharatriki initiation. That's very important to note. Vedic initiation even small kids get. When they have that Upanayana Samskara at the age of around 10, 11, that is the time, or 12. So during that time, Vedic initiation is given. Many of the times they'll not know who the Guru is. They'll forget mantra also after some time. But such things are not allowed in Pancharatriki initiation, very strict. You just take the example of our organization. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. It should be zero. It's expected to be zero. And one has to chant his prescribed number of rounds every day. And if someone is second initiated, or the devotees are aspiring for second initiation, very strict. You cannot have sinful thought also. It's expected. And one has to do his Trisandhya 3 times. The chanting of Gayatri has to be done. So in this way, it is pretty strict. It goes narrower and narrower with time and becomes very strict. There's no space to move hands and legs for one's own sense gratification. And that is needed for a conditioned soul, or else conditioned soul with his obnoxious free will, he'll continue doing his obnoxious activities. Therefore, this strictness is needed, this narrowness is needed if you want to attain Krishna. Therefore, we see that in Pancharatriki initiation, it's very clear. Make all sense gratification zero. The Pancharatriki initiation is that finally you have to do full-time devotional service and nothing else. There's nothing else that is expected from you. 24/7, only Krishna conscious activities. That too, 64 angas of bhakti directly. So again and again, this point, we'll be able to see in various references in the Shastra. So now, this person, he was having no desire for sense gratification. But his desire was still fulfilled. Why? Because he was doing his duties. Similarly, as a devotee, so we'll be doing this comparing and contrast between material and spiritual. So what is described about King Gaya is on the material platform, and we'll see how to translate that in our life in spiritual platform. So for him, his duties were his Varna Ashrama Dharma. And always whenever he's asked what is the duty of a devotee, to execute 64 angas of bhakti. This is the duty of a devotee. So when he's executing 64 angas of bhakti every single day, the rest of the things will fall in place. Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. That tivrena bhakti yogena, intense practice of devotional service, is what is the duty of a spiritual practitioner or a devotee. This is the duty. So if we continue executing 64 angas of bhakti, naturally, whatever is desired, be it material or spiritual, it will manifest. But with time, the devotee gets so purified that there is no material desire that remains. Only spiritual desires will remain. And finally, all the spiritual desires will also go away. And there is only one desire that remains, and that is to serve the Lord and nothing else. Finally, the devotee comes to that pinnacle of desire, and that is, I don't want anything, I just want to serve. So every day, like parrots, we chant, no? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmani ishware, bhavatad bhakti rahitu kitvai. So this will actually manifest. All the material desires out, All the spiritual desires out. Only one desire is there now, and that is, I want to serve the Lord. So this will happen if every single day a devotee executes his duties properly. That is 64 angas of bhakti. If you don't do 64 angas of bhakti properly, then it's a problem. So as soon as a devotee starts rendering 64 angas of bhakti every single day, so naturally purification will happen, and purification is very fast. Because these 64 angas are very, very powerful. These are not ordinary at all. All the desires will be fulfilled, and with time, the ultimate desire will manifest in the heart, and that is, I just want to serve the Lord, I don't want anything else. This is the mode of Vrindavan Vasis. If we are really aiming, in this month of Kartik, if we're really aiming at attaining Krishna, that to Goloka Vrindavan, so finally this mode has to come, that I want to serve Krishna only. As soon as I say Krishna, Krishna also means his devotees. So I want to serve Krishna and his devotees. That's the only desire that should remain with time. And as soon as this happens, yes, Vrindavan consciousness is manifesting, it means. Because we will be just serving the Lord for his pleasure. So in this way, we understand that when it comes to our spiritual life, there is no question of sense gratification. And our duty is to execute 64 angas of bhakti. Just by doing this, all our material and spiritual desires will be fulfilled. With time, material desires will go away. With time, all spiritual desires will also go away. And finally, one desire remains, that I want to serve the Lord for his pleasure. Next thing that is spoken about King Gaya here, all the kings with whom Maharaj Gaya had to fight were forced to fight on religious principles. They were very satisfied with his fighting, and they would present all kinds of gifts to him. So this is on the material platform. He was very strict when it comes to executing his prescribed duties. There's no question of any cheat there. There's no cheat a day for him. There's no cheating anywhere. Little bit also. He's very strict in executing his own dharma. So, since he was very strict, the ones who would fight with him, they would be very careful. Oh, this is a very religious person. He's a very, very religious person. So, we shouldn't violate the religious principles. So, they would also fight with the same mood. And as soon as two personalities who are executing religious principles come together, naturally both will feel satisfied, even if one party is victorious and other is defeated. Because as soon as the religious principles come into picture, which guna will come into picture? Sattva guna. As soon as Sattva guna is there, naturally there will be satisfaction. Naturally. And therefore, here it is described, all of them, they were so satisfied that they would offer whatever gifts they have to their king, King Gaya. Similarly, when it comes to us in our spiritual life, see, our personal practice is very, very important. We have to be very strict with our personal practice. As I said, as a devotee, we need to execute 64 angas of bhakti. And Srila Prabhupada has given us the entire program. So a question comes that how strict we are when it comes to executing all this. As soon as our authority is not watching, so are we escaping from things? What are we doing? Very, very important. Therefore, this personal conduct is very, very important of a devotee. Be it in his own sadhana, which we are supposed to do and no one is watching. If we do it sincerely, oh, that's very profound. Along with that, when we are doing service, how is our conduct? How is our behavior? That also matters to a very great extent. Many times in different centers when we go, some devotees ask this question, that devotees are given service, but they're not completing it. They're just running in between. Now what happens is, as soon as we see such people, so there is no question of following them. There's no question of liking them. There's no question of getting closer to them. But as soon as we see some devotee who's very strict, he takes up any service and he finishes end to end. And his mood is very clear. His mood is, I want to serve, I want to please. So as soon as we see such devotees, a lot of inspiration comes. So can you imagine personal conduct? I'm not talking about preaching here. Just personal conduct. Personal practice, if it is strict, if it is proper, that will inspire people around us. Therefore, it is said that the preacher might preach the entire day, but will speak sometimes. Because his preaching is happening through his actions. And sometimes if needed, he speaks also. So in this way, the personal conduct is very important. Now, when we are personally doing our nice sadhana, nice seva, we are pretty strict with ourselves. Now, when other devotees come, when they approach us, their behavior will also change. Even if they are very floating devotees, dicey devotees, they're not very keen about practicing bhakti. But as soon as they come close to an intense devotee who is very strict with his practice, naturally their behavior also change. They might be doing prajalpa with others, but when they come to this devotee, they'll be very clear, no, I cannot speak. I cannot speak all this. I have to speak only about bhakti, or else this devotee will chastise me. If someone is coming and doing prajalpa with us, we should understand, he knows very well that we are the right person to do prajalpa with. Therefore, that person is coming. Many times people say, Prabhuji, he always comes and disturbs my consciousness. He does prajalpa with me. No. He likes to do prajalpa and he knows that you also like to do. So he is coming. But when a person is very strict, you can see for yourself, when a devotee is very strict with himself, only Krishna conscious activities, Krishna conscious speech, Krishna conscious thought, naturally people around will also behave accordingly. So personal conduct is very, very important. And in this world, people don't like to follow words, at least in the age of Kali. Vedic times, people are very keen to follow words. Now, people don't want to follow words, people want to follow actions. So, when we are trying to set an example, or we are trying to help people to advance in bhakti, there's a very, very important thing. We have to show it in our actions. How much ever we speak, no one is going to listen. But when we start executing it, everyone sees, everyone appreciates, everyone follows. Therefore, more we advance in bhakti, by being very strict with one's own self, by being a very, very sincere, serious devotee, we will see this, that there will be many people around us who would want to associate with us. If we advance more and more, there will be many devotees, many practitioners who would want to follow us, who would want to serve in various ways, take guidance, etc., etc. Therefore, it's very important to advance, because such a devotee who is advancing in bhakti, he becomes an asset to the entire movement of Krishna consciousness. Those devotees who don't advance in bhakti, they are liabilities, because they will surely create some ruckus in the society, and then all the other senior devotees have to put all their focus on this person rather than helping others to come into the fold of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, every single devotee who is strict with one's own self, very serious, very sincere to advance in bhakti, always remember their asset in iskcon, their asset to the organization. And the ones who are not, they're liabilities, they're burden. I would not say burden of love, they're actually only burden. Yes, just burden. Now, when it comes to us, say we are very strict with our sadhana, seva, whatever, and everyone respects us, people who follow us, people want to serve us. So at that time, another mood is very, very important for a devotee. He should not ever think of exploiting the person who is coming to serve us. He is ready to give us anything, but we should not be ready to take everything that he gives. If he wants to give 100, we will accept 1. That should be the understanding that we should have. Never we should exploit anyone in spiritual circles. And when it comes to devotees, what is there in their life is only spiritual circle. They don't have a material circle. Therefore, whenever we are in spiritual circle, this point is very important. As soon as a devotee start exploiting others, one thing is very clear. Many people will lose their faith. And guess what? We were those glorious personalities. Instead of bringing people into the fold of Krishna consciousness, we are kicking out people from the fold of Krishna consciousness. So if we really want to help people around, our personal conduct has to be very nice. Be it our sadhana, be it our seva, or at the same time, be it engaging people in seva, that also has to be proper. If we exploit anyone, always remember their faith is going to go down and we will be the reason for kicking out a person from Krishna consciousness. So look at King Gaya. On the material platform itself, he was so wonderful that people were coming and surrendering onto him, giving a lot of gifts to him. And then what else he was doing? Similarly, all the Brahmanas in his kingdom were very satisfied with King Gaya's munificent charities. Consequently, the Brahmanas contributed a sixth of their pious activities for King Gaya's benefit in the next life. So now, King Gaya is serving all these Brahmanas. He is giving charity to them so that they can continue doing their yajnas, they can continue executing their dharma, their duties. When they are able to do things nicely, so what is happening? All of them, they are so pleased with the service of King Gaya that they are offering from their side a gift. And this gift is 1/6 of their pious activity. Now, this is very nice to note that when it comes to a king, so he takes 1/6 of the sin of the praja, and at the same time, 1/6 of the pious credit also he gets if the praja is pious. Here, willingly, the Brahmanas are offering 1/6 of the pious credits. Willingly. Now, this is on the material platform. When it comes to spiritual platform for us, so King Gaya was serving the Brahmanas, and for us as devotees, we are expected to serve the Vaishnavas. Vaishnava Seva is so very important. Vaishnava Seva is so important that it is categorized in Panchanga Bhakti. Oh, Panchanga Bhakti. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Mathura Vasa Srimurtera Shraddhaya Sevan. So these are the 5 powerful angas of bhakti. Sadhu Sangha, serving the Vaishnavas. Nama Kirtan, chanting the holy names of the Lord. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Mathuravas, staying in Dham or staying in a temple. And 5th, Sri Murtiya Shraddhaya Sevan, worshipping the deities with love and devotion, with faith. So these are the 5 very, very potent angas of bhakti. And it is described that any devotee who does these 5 angas of bhakti seriously, that person has to progress. And it is said, finally, he will be awarded Krishna Prem. So now these 5 angas of bhakti are very powerful. But this sadhu sangha, oh, that's very, very important. Very, very important. Sadhu sangha, many times it is glorified in Shastra in various different ways. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koy. Lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Just with a very, very, a very short association of a sadhu, one can advance in bhakti and attain perfection. Sarva siddhi hoy. Sarva siddhi hoy. Just by associating with a sadhu, a person can become a devotee. By associating with a sadhu, a person can become intense devotee. By associating with a sadhu, a person can attain perfection. So depending on the grades of practitioners, the result is also there. Now it's very nice to analyze this one thing. What happens when we serve Vaishnavas? What are the miracles that take place? The first thing, as soon as we say serving Vaishnavas, so it means we do service, we render service for their pleasure, not for ours. Many times when devotees serve prasad, so for their pleasure, they want to serve. Oh, Prabhuji, eat more, eat more. Arey Baba, this devotee is not able to eat. No, eat more, eat more. आप हमारे घर पे आए हैं, हम कैसे आपको नहीं खिलाएं? It's very important. आप खाइए. And that devotee is crying, no, I cannot eat. This is what is my capacity. So one thing you have to understand is that in service also we want to seek sense gratification, where we feel very nice by serving. No, it's not we feeling nice. We have to see how the other person will feel nice. Therefore, service means to please. This statement is very, very important. Service means to please the other personality, not to please our own self. And also at the same time, we should serve without expectation. Selfless service is glorified so much in Shastra. Anyone who renders selfless service, they are glorified so much in Shastra. So selfless service is very important. When they are satisfied, our life will become successful. So therefore, service is meant to please them, and our service should be selfless service. Now what happens when the Vaishnavas are pleased? 2 things the Vaishnavas will do. They will give gifts to us. 2 gifts. The first gift is, they will give us instructions to advance in bhakti. I'm talking about our superiors. They will give us instructions to advance in bhakti. And second, they will award us faith and taste to advance in bhakti. These two are very, very important treasures in a devotee's life. Instructions to advance in bhakti and faith and taste to advance in bhakti. Some case studies we can see from Srimad Bhagavatam, where we will see all this coming into picture. Very, very nice prasanga, a very nice section from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Narada Muni is speaking about his own past life to Vyasadeva. And he says, Tatranvaham Krishna katha pragayatam anugrahena shrinavam manoharah taha shraddhayame nupadam vishrinvataha priyashravasyang mama bhavadruchihi. So he's glorifying one particular incident in his life, and he's telling Vyasadeva about the glories of serving a Vaishnava. He says, "Oh Vyasadeva, tatran vahan Krishna katha pragayatam anugrahena shrinavam manoharah." By the mercy of those pure souls who had come to my house, the Bhakti Vedantas. So what has happened? So he is saying that I was able to hear them. What were you hearing? Krishna Katha. I was hearing Krishna Katha from them. He was serving all the Vaishnavas who had come. Small 5-year-old boy. Any kid does any service that is so pleasing. Just imagine Narada Muni, who had no mood of playing, who had no mood of any frivolous activities. All the time he was very sober, very self-controlled, 5-year-old boy, very cute, very innocent. At the same time, he was a patra. He was the right patra to receive the mercy because he was very, very deena. His condition was very, very pathetic because he was just the son of a maidservant, very poor. So when he was serving the Bhakti Vedantas were very pleased. And when they were pleased, so now Narada Muni, or this boy in his past life, 5-year-old boy, so this boy, he didn't have any selfish motive when he was serving. He was just serving. That's it. Mother is serving, I'll also serve with mother. That was the mood. So he was serving. He was continuously rendering service. So Bhakti Vedantas, they allowed him to sit in the Bhagavatam class. All of them, they are having nice charcha on Krishna Katha. And Narada Muni is sitting there, the 5-year-old maid-servant's boy sitting there, and he is hearing. So what are the gifts that these Bhakti Vedantas offered to Narada Muni? That's what he's talking here. And he is saying that Tataha Shraddhayame. So first and foremost, that was awarded to him was Shraddha, faith. And second thing that is given is Ruchi, taste. So Shraddha in hearing, and second, taste in hearing. So very, very important. He is saying that with every step, my taste for hearing about the Lord was increasing. With every step. But what was the background for this? How did he receive this gift? His selfless service with the mood to please the Bhakti Vedantas. Even if he didn't have the mood to please because he was a small kid, but since he was selflessly serving, these pure souls who are selfless, they showered their causeless mercy. And when the causeless mercy was showered, then yes, that resulted into this. This was the gift that was given. Faith and taste in hearing about the Lord to advance in bhakti. Therefore, selfless service is very, very important. When we render selfless service, you see here Narad Muni, he rendered selfless service. He was not asking Bhakti Vedantas. He served prasadam and then he's saying, please pray for me. He's not saying, please give me this, please give me that. Nothing. He's just serving and serving. That's it. He's not asking for anything in return. And this such selfless service is very, very powerful. That pleases the Vaishnavas like anything. Second case study from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Devanand Pandit had offended Srivas Thakur. So Srivas Thakur was sitting in his Bhagavatam class and Devanand Pandit and his disciples, they were not able to tolerate the ecstatic symptoms of Srivas Thakur, where one of the ecstatic symptoms was his loud cries. And therefore, all the disciples, to please their spiritual master, They picked up Srivas Thakur and very respectfully placed him on the road. And this was a great offense. A pure devotee is there in the class and he is removed out of the class. So by this offense, Devanand Pandit was struggling to have faith in Lord Chaitanya. He was struggling in various things of his devotional life. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not showering his mercy. Because Devanand Pandit had offended Srivas Thakur. And Srivas Thakur is such a dear devotee of Lord Chaitanya. In his house, all the nocturnal kirtans were happening. Just think about how much dear he would be. But then, Devanand Pandit, somehow he remained in the association of devotees. So he got an opportunity to host another very, very pure devotee in his house. And his name was Vakreshwar Pandit. So Vakreshwar Pandit, he stayed in the ashram of Devanand Pandit. And Vakreshwar Pandit is known for dance. He would continuously dance. Once he danced for 72 hours. Continuously. Very difficult to conceive also. What does that mean? 72 hours of dance. So now, whenever Vakreshwar Pandit would dance, Devanand Pandit was naturally attracted to Vakreshwar Pandit. You know why he was naturally attracted to Vakreshwar Pandit? Because Vakreshwar Pandit's personal conduct was very strong. That's what we discussed in the initial part of our class. He was very strict with himself. He was rendering devotional service. He was executing the angas of bhakti very nicely, very serious, very sincere. Naturally, Devanand Pandit was attracted to this personality. But Devanand Pandit, he got the mood that I should serve this person. So whenever Vakreshwar Pandit would start dancing, Devanand Pandit would guard him so that he does not go and fall on someone or someone comes and touches him. No, he would guard him nicely. And whenever Vakreshwar Pandit is about to fall by his ecstatic dance and ecstatic symptoms, immediately Devanand Pandit would go and catch him. And whenever Vakreshwar Pandit would actually fall down, immediately Devanand Pandit would pick him up and start removing the dust from his body. Because Vakreshwar Pandit would be in unconscious state. So he would remove all the dust from his body. Now Devanand Pandit, he was doing all this selflessly. He was not doing all this and then, Vakreshwar Pandit, uthiye to? Uthiye? Please give me this, please give me that, please pray for me. Nothing. He was just serving selflessly. And Vakreshwar Pandit, for sure, he might be very pleased with the service. He gave gifts. And what were the gifts that Vakreshwar Pandit gave and Devanand Pandit received? First one was his sinful mentality of not having faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was removed completely. Faith was awarded to him. Faith in Lord Chaitanya was awarded to him. Very big thing. In fact, many times we see devotees struggle in Krishna consciousness because their faith is not strong. They don't understand only what is what. But look at this. Vakreshwar Pandit awarded the faith in Lord Chaitanya. Second thing that happened with Devanand Pandit was, by the mercy of Vakreshwar Pandit, he developed the intense desire to take darshan of Gaura Sundar, Lord Chaitanya. Again, he had no desire previously to get closer to Lord Chaitanya also. Now he has intense desire to go and take darshan of Lord Chaitanya. So in this way, this is the gift that was given by Vakreshwar Pandit for the selfless service of Devanand Pandit. And guess what? Lord Chaitanya was offended because his devotee was offended. But now since his devotee was pleased, Lord Chaitanya forgave all the offenses and showered mercy on Devanand Pandit. Okay, let's take case 3. So we spoke from Bhagavatam. That's 5,000 years ago. 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya's pastime. 50 years ago, 50 years back, Prabhupada. Now see, when it comes to all the disciples of Prabhupada, they were rendering selfless service to Prabhupada. In fact, they would outrightly tell this. We don't know who Krishna is. We don't know who Chaitanya is. But we know who Swamiji is. And for the pleasure of Swamiji, we serve. And in fact, Prabhupada also told this in one of the conversation, that the hope for all these devotees is their sincerity in executing the instructions which I give. And guess what? If you analyze all these different personalities who came in the initial days of ISKCON, they were very difficult to understand also. We say that these boys who come for our session, they're all fallen and this and that, they're doing nonsensical activity. But these are much, much better. 1,000 times degraded people were those in the initial days. Because they were completely gone case. Their consciousness was really very, very much at a lower platform. They are not knowing basic etiquettes also. At least these people who come for our programs, they know the basic etiquette of how to deal with a sadhu, how to sit in a class, etc. They were not having on basic etiquettes. But such people, from such a low platform, coming to a platform of preaching to Indians, I can just imagine the entire transition that has taken place. How this took place? And the answer is only this. Whatever selfless service they have rendered to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is very pleased, and Prabhupada has awarded them gifts. Prabhupada gave them instructions to follow. And to follow that instruction, Prabhupada empowered them and gave them faith also. And Prabhupada gave them taste to render devotional service. We have so many disciples of Prabhupada who have read Srimad Bhagavad-gita 100 plus times. There are some devotees who say, I've read Bhagavad-gita 150 times. Now, how these people who are into illicit sex, intoxication and all that, so much of taste. There are so many disciples of Prabhupada who chant a huge number of rounds. Huge. Especially in this month of Kartik, many of them, they come to Vrindavan and then entire Vrindavan, from early morning till late night, they keep chanting. How is it that these people were able to come to this platform, such a high level? This transition from hippie to a pure devotee, how did this happen? And one thing is very clear, this is only and only by Prabhupada's mercy. Therefore, we see that when selfless service is rendered to some seniors, some superiors, pure devotees, perfected pure souls, Nitya Siddhas. So I'm giving various gradations. Many times people wait for Nitya Siddhas to come in their life. Arey Baba, you should be qualified for that. So many times people ask, so what should I do now? Just serve some superior who is superior to you. So when we serve some superior who is superior to us, what happens is at least we will reach their level. And since they are sincere and serious in their bhakti, they are anyways going to advance. So we'll also keep advancing with them. Why wait for someone? In dream they will come, or in some hallucination they will come. So when we serve superiors, naturally all these things will manifest. Whatever power they have, whatever empowerment they have been given, they will give the same to us as a gift. That's the point. Therefore, in these three case studies, it's very clear. Selfless service is very important to the Vaishnavas, without any expectation, for their pleasure. And they will give gifts. The first gift is the instructions from the Shastra. Because as we advance in bhakti, the instruction how to execute devotional service is very, very important. We might read Shastra. It might be told that, okay, you're supposed to chant the holy names. Okay, you're supposed to read Bhagavatam, etc. But how to do that? How to do that so that I can achieve perfection in a very short time? That these personalities can tell who have learned from their superiors. They can pass it on to us. And we will see that such things will be revealed only to those devotees whom that superior is pleased with. Especially in personal conversations and other things. Because they are pleased, so now they want to give something, and this is the gift that they will give, instructions. And at the same time, the faith of the person is reinstated in Krishna consciousness. The faith increases because that's the gift that is given. The taste increases because that's the gift that is given. So therefore, the selfless service is very, very important to the devotees, the superiors who are there. But now someone might say, okay, I'll serve only superiors. Now that's very nice. We can always serve superiors. It's very good. Because here Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's a nice shloka. Siddhir bhavati vaneti samshayochuta sevinam nissamshayastu tad bhakta paricharya ratatmanam. Very beautiful. It says, Siddhir bhavati va neti samshayah achyuta sevina. So there might be a doubt that how will I attain perfection? There might be a doubt. Many times people have this doubt. How will I attain perfection in this life? And here it is said that there is no doubt, nissamshayah, there is no doubt at all. For whom? For those people. Tad bhakta paricharya ratatmanam. Those who are attached to whom? Serving Lord's devotees. They will surely attain perfection. Now, it might be possible that we might have this fanatic mode that, okay, I'll serve only top-notch people in Krishna consciousness. But one thing has to be very clear, that every single Vaishnava, at whatever level he is in, he is dear to Krishna. And say we serve the Vaishnavas around us, and they are pleased with us in whatever ways, and when they go in front of the altar, they pray for us. Don't you think that we'll advance in bhakti? They are not giving gifts to us because they don't have anything to give. But they are telling the Lord that, oh Lord, you give some gifts to him because I cannot give anything to him. So by Lord's mercy, again all these things will erupt in our heart. The faith will increase, the taste will increase. Therefore, every single devotee, superiors can give us gifts directly, and when it comes to equals and subordinates, they might not be able to give it directly, but they can give it indirectly because they can offer prayers to the Lord. And this is a very, very nice thing to note, that when we please any Vaishnav, they are going to surely offer prayers to the Lord. So these are the different miracles that can take place in our life when we serve a Vaishnav. And these miracles are very, very important. If it doesn't happen, how will we advance in Krishna consciousness? Therefore, service to the Vaishnavas is very, very important. And here we see, when King Gaya satisfied all the Brahmanas, they gave 1/6 of the pious credits from their account. And it's very nice to note, but when we serve Vaishnavas, Vaishnavas can give 100% of credits from their account. They can just bestow and pull the person up and throw him back home, back to God. That's the power the Vaishnavas have. Whatever level they are in, the other devotee also can come directly to that level in Krishna consciousness. So in this way, we learn all these different wonderful things, and especially the miracles of serving a Vaishnava. And just to reiterate the point, when the Vaishnavas are pleased with our selfless service, they will give us instructions from Shastra to advance in bhakti. And second, they will give us faith and taste to execute devotional service to advance in bhakti. Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.